Welcome in to Check the Mic, special bonus episode. Steve Palazzolo here with our friend Mike Renner making his return to talk draft, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Ready to talk draft. What, we 4 games in?
CBS Sports Zone, formerly of PFF, formerly of The Bachelorette, Mike Renner.
That one I didn't expect to get on there, but hey.
We got to remind people of your fame. We have a special bonus episode. I'm going to have Jake Butt on here a little bit later on too, Big Ten analyst, to talk some Big Ten prospects, some quarterbacks, maybe some of the same people we're going to talk about. But some teams are 0-3 right now, Sam. I mean, Mike, oh, geez, here we go.
We'll have it.
Oh, Sam said PFF the other day, multiple times.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I said it last year, but we were in the PFF studio. It was acceptable. He said it here twice in the last month.
We got fired.
I just called you Sam once. What was I even talking about? Some teams are 0-3, 1-2. It's time to look to the draft.
Yes. I do on our podcast, Pushing the Pile, we do power tiers every week, and one tier is just the mock draft demo tier. So
nice.
There's 5 teams in the mock draft demo tier. It's now the Bengals that just got added this week. The Browns.
2-1 Bengals.
Browns, 2-1 Bengals, but they know. Titans, Saints, Dolphins. So 5 teams already eyes on 2026.
Well, that's what is kind of fun about late September and into October. We've got a few weeks of college football, and every year there are players who weren't necessarily on the radar. I want to talk about some of those players. You have a new mock draft that came out this week. We could talk a little bit about that. But let's start at quarterback because, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did talk about this last month. There were a lot of quarterbacks who were at least hey, let's see. These guys could be in the mix for number 1 overall for round 1. I would say overall it's been a disappointing start for the expected round 1 quarterbacks. Is that fair?
Yes, I think that's very fair.
I mean, if you include Arch Manning in there.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you had as your expected. But Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, I think a lot of people like Cade Klubnik. We didn't talk about him last time, but he was in that mix. Drew Allar, Lenorris Sellers. I think those are the names that a lot of people had high hopes for. That I wouldn't say anyone that we just mentioned has hit or exceeded expectations. I mean, Nussmeier is probably the closest. I think he's just been fine. He's been kind of the same guy.
And even over that, even you would say, to put them in the number 1 conversation, they probably needed to take a step forward. And I don't think we've seen that from any of those guys.
100%. I do not think we have. The one guy who I obviously didn't touch on there, but I think has and is now in that mix. I think Fernando Mendoza looks the part. Offense is humming. 3 incompletions the last 2 weeks at Indiana. So he's the one guy that maybe looks like he's taking the step forward. And you always thought, given what he worked with at Cal and given what he's working with now at Indiana, that was possible. But outside of him, pretty much anyone else who's playing well was very far off was far off most radars. Most people did not have them in first round mocks.
Let's talk Mendoza for a minute here, though. They're coming off Indiana, an absolute beatdown of Illinois. It was supposed to be a great game, one of the games of the week last week, and no, Indiana absolutely dominant. And Curt Cignetti has done an incredible job there. And, I pre-recorded our Jake Butt interview. We will talk. He's a Big Ten expert, right? Mm-hmm. So we talk a little Mendoza, Curt Cignetti. But what have you seen from Mendoza? Our friend Nate Tice, I know, really loved him coming into the season. I think he started a lot of the Mendoza hype, and he's been really good to start the season.
I liked him, too. I think I had him back end of my top 30. And Moore was just, I don't want to say an incomplete grade, but more just saying hey, no one's going to care about this Cal tape a year from now. It's all going to be this Indiana tape.
Yeah.
Because O-line was so bad. The receivers weren't that great. And the fact that he was able to just keep his head above water there and, succeed at times, even go toe-to-toe with Cam Ward was oh, wow, there's something here. And a lot to like about his play style and how it would translate to the NFL. And I think you're only just seeing more of that. And the accuracy has been even more impressive now that, he consistently has guys that are open now. Quick decision making. I think the one thing about his game that is probably lacking if you compare it to just most top prospects is to be able to create outside structure. It's kind of like a prerequisite nowadays for quarterbacks. And just, he's not a bad athlete. That's just that's not part of his game. He really does operate mainly from the pocket or half rolls, boots. He can throw on the move, but he's not a creator outside of structure. But when you're this good in the pocket and you have, he's 6'5", and he has a good arm. I wouldn't say it's like an elite arm by NFL standards, but if you stacked all 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, he's probably about somewhere between 16 and 13. Like, it's a solid arm by NFL standards. So all those things put together.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, I joke all the time about if you were ranking, it's a weird thing, right? If you were ranking the 32 arms, how many are below average NFL standards? 2.
Yeah.
Right? So everybody's above average, but then when you rescale it to the 32, like the top 15 have well above average arms. They're very good. Like, the only guy that's playing with a below average arm is Mac Jones.
Jones to Purdy, Dak is like kind of like your bottom of the.
I wouldn't put Dak in there.
Dak probably. Yeah, I'd be like,
he's
Dak
plus.
is.
But
Dak
there's literally
a
handful that you would say. It's kind of, again, use my baseball analogy all the time. Like, the major league average fastball when I played was 91. Now it's probably 94. But there's only a handful of that's what they considered an average fastball, but it's not the average necessarily.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. Carry on. So that's good arm for Mendoza.
It is, yeah. And so he has a good arm, and so there's really just he has the fewest holes to poke in his game right now. Obviously, I mean, Illinois is ranked top 10 because they're not going to be the toughest team they face this year. Let's just be real. Like, they were kind of like a nice story top 10, but not really this uber talented defense. But it's not a bad defense. Like, it's still a good college defense, and you shredded them. So I'm interested to see, the bigger games in their schedule, if he makes it to the playoffs, how he fares. But at this point in time, I think if you're putting anyone else first overall, it's based off of wish casting. He's the one who's played the best right now.
By the way, this might be your fault. I heard a story recently that Fernando Mendoza did not go to the Manning Passing Academy despite an invite. And it was because head coach Curt Cignetti said, hey, we have a throwing session that day. I don't want you to miss it.
Oh, he loves the team too much.
And I heard it was also because he was reportedly CBS had him in a first-round mock draft. I don't know if it was you. I don't know if it wasn't CBS. But there was some kind of Mendoza's getting some first-round hype, and Cignetti wanted to ground him a little bit and not let that get to his head. So you may have indirectly, if this was you.
When was the Manning Passing Academy?
It
When was
it was the summer
mock draft? I did put him number 1 overall in my preseason mock draft. I did think.
This is what I heard. You may have kept Fernando Mendoza from the experience of a lifetime at the Manning Passing Academy.
There's just no
because
way
of first-round project. I just heard this. I was listening to Big Ten radio on Sirius recently. So could have been
Maybe
you.
It was.
Could have been your fault. You have a mock draft over at CBS right now. Mm-hmm. With Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
Wow. So you and Nate Tice early on Fernando, and a good start for him. We also talked a little John Mateer, I believe, when you were here last time. And he's
big Mateer guy.
He has Oklahoma undefeated. Unfortunately, now a hand injury that's going to keep him out for at least probably a month or so, are the reports. But Mateer's looked good. Elevated that squad. He hasn't hit the meat of the schedule yet, but a couple big wins against Auburn and Michigan. What have you seen?
I was going to say, those are good teams. It's not, not the meat.
The meat of the schedule is actually still coming up for Oklahoma, which is wild. But good wins against Michigan and last week against Auburn.
It does feel like every time I watch an SEC team, I'm just like, oh man, they had like 5 guys transfer in who are going to get drafted. It's like I watch Missouri and I'm like in awe of how much talent Missouri has.
Oh yeah, I was just watching their defensive line.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
everywhere. Yeah.
And Missouri wasn't even, I think, ranked going into the season. So, playing the SEC is tough. But Mateer has been honestly so. Mateer picked up where he left off last season. I think we're seeing in the NFL how hard that is, picking up where he left off with like guys like Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. That a new season doesn't just mean you always take a next step.
Progression is not linear is the phrase I use all the time.
There you go. Yes, perfect. But with Mateer, the nice thing is since week 1 last year, all the way through last season, now to early this season, I think you've seen a very linear progression. You've seen him get better. He was so erratic early on his first year as a starter. His accuracy was horrible. That's gotten a lot better. You still see questionable decision making, especially those first 2 games. I mean, he could have thrown 4 picks those first 2 games and it wouldn't have batted an eye. He just was like, he'll try some stuff. And he struggles to throw still with touch. Too many lasers. That got him into trouble. That's why a few of those balls could have been picked early on. But the arm talent's legit. The athlete is very legit. I've comped him just physically to Caleb Williams. Now I think he's just like a toned down version, just a little bit. Like doesn't have quite the same arm talent, doesn't have quite the same athleticism, but same body type and like They are high-end athletes, high-end arm talent that can really spin it outside the pocket, on the move, those sorts of things. So you're seeing it, and it's nice to see the progression. Injury stinks, especially this play style that he is like used so much as a runner, and especially in that offense, like he takes between the tackles, carries, and he's good. Like he has good vision. Not all quarterbacks, just because you're an athlete. I always point to Justin Fields. Like Justin Fields is an incredible athlete. He stinks if he's running a run concept. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. John Mateer does, and that's obviously a feather in his cap. But I still need to see more. I still say off of the 4 games that I've seen on tape, I think he'll be a top 5 pick. I just think it's going to be in 2027.
Next year, yeah.
I think he should come back one more year.
I thought Johnny Football was similar in that they did not give him designed runs. He wasn't actually a good designed runner, but he was a good scrambler. Mm-hmm. They are different skill sets. It is interesting now with so much running from the quarterback position, how they all have different styles. Like I think Lenorris Sellers is a guy that could maybe do it all, but I describe Jaden Daniels as one of the best scramblers in the NFL, if not the best, right? Which is different. Like Lamar Jackson is the best overall runner. He might be able to do both, but some are better in design concepts. Some are better. I don't think Cam Newton was the best scrambler. He was one of the better design quarterback runners and power runners, right? So there are different styles of running quarterbacks these days. A couple other names I just wanted to mention, including when we get into your mock draft, a guy that's in the first round that hasn't been for a lot of other people. But Carson Beck at Miami, going into last year when he was at Georgia, was kind of like a default number 1 quarterback for a lot of people. This is before people knew Cam Ward was going to do what he did. People weren't necessarily trusting Shedeur Sanders. Mm-hmm. And so Carson Beck, it was like, I don't know, he's bigger than
it was kind of like 2022 draft where it's like, I guess we put Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler here.
Yeah, like just the guy. And then, but the description of Beck was always like, what does he do special? I've kind of liked the way he started the season at Miami, running the offense and everything, but that's how you describe Carson Beck? Like he runs the offense? How would you describe him?
I would describe him as still a day 3 pick, truthfully. Not to ruin rain on the Hurricanes parade, but the arm is worse, truthfully, after what do you have, the offseason surgery. He still has a weak arm. He's still not an athlete. I mean, he's kind of the same as like Fernando Mendoza, where like he can probably run in a straight line all rightly fast. He's not a true statue, but he's not creating himself. Now, plays with great timing. I think he's accurate underneath, but like he can't expand the field very well with his arm. He just can't. And downfield accuracy has been an issue this year. And he's just playing fine. And if you know anything about Carson Beck, like the duds are what you worry about. The big game duds were on his tape both years at Georgia. So that's what I'm still worried about. Notre Dame looked good at the time, but we've seen how Notre Dame's defense has looked since then. And after that,
you want to talk about that? What's happening? What's happened with the back 7 there?
I don't want to talk about it, actually.
Okay, sorry. I won't bring
Coaching.
it up.
Al Golden's not there anymore. That's what's up.
Marcus was
I know.
Talking about it a lot this week.
He's got to take over.
He doesn't want to call the play. He doesn't want to call the plays.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Save that for we should start a Notre Dame podcast. Everyone's starting Notre Dame. Everyone's starting their team podcast. Smetty and Golick, they can't. We could beat them out as the best Notre Dame podcast.
See, I would start a Packers podcast, but to me, Notre Dame's where I get to just turn my brain off.
If you want
the biggest Homer fan,
if you want to do a Homer Notre Dame podcast, I will. I can serve up, curveballs, softballs to you, not curveballs. One other name I want to mention that I talked to Jake. Yeah, nobody can hit the curveball. Jake Butt is going to talk about him a little bit, but Dante Moore at Oregon, he's a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah. Who,
coming out of high school, 5-star recruit, goes to UCLA, absolutely looked the part all across the high school recruit, All-American circuit and everything. Looked great. Had some flashes as a freshman at UCLA, but it was a struggle overall. And then went to Oregon and redshirted and just sat last year behind Dylan Gabriel, and now he's taken over. What have you seen from Dante Moore in a not-so-challenging Oregon schedule? To this point, they're playing Penn State this week, though.
Yeah, I think kind of what I said about no one's going to go back and watch Mendoza's tape last year. No one's going to go back and watch these games for Dante Moore. Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State. They're not complete patsies, but it'll get tougher. And that's how I feel watching this tape. It's Tools-wise, yes, all in. The guy's got it. Like, he is special. I love the route he took, transferring to be a backup. Showed some humility. It's not the path that most people take nowadays. Kyler Murray took it, and I think it served Kyler, and I think it served Dante Moore here too, and it's going to be something that evaluators will like to see. Now, again, he's not played a ton of football up to this point, so it is difficult to say, but I put him in my first-round mock. I think given what we've seen, and given the fact that, like, Oregon is going to out-talent a lot of people. Like, he's still going to have guys that are open. He has a great offensive line, maybe the best in college football in front of him. He has a very good receiving core. Like, this Oregon team is stacked. So it will look good. It'll continue to look good, even when they do face better competition, in my opinion. So, yeah, I've been very impressed. There's throws on his tape that are just like 50-yard lasers on the move, and it's just like, that guy's got what it takes.
Someone that coached him, and it was like, his touch is incredible, best touch I've ever seen. I think velocity, it looks easy. I think there's a style to Dante Moore that makes it look easy, and then there's Oregon's offensive line and offense that also makes it look easy, where he's not stressed in the pocket. I can't wait to watch him against Penn State, and as that schedule starts to heat up a little bit, see how he progresses. I would also use a little caution. It's our fault, but he's a redshirt sophomore. Right, and just like we did with Arch Manning, he might not want to come out this year. He might not have to come out this year. He might have 2 more years of developing as a starter at Oregon, and that could do him well, especially as we've seen a lot of recent quarterbacks who are more experienced, them having better, transitions to the NFL, especially while you can make some money in college too. It's not like you have to go early. So I would just say we don't even know if Dante Moore is going to be in the draft come April.
And I do hate how everyone poses it as this financial decision where it's like, if you're getting, your top 4 pick in the draft, that's whatever, $30 million or whatever that you're probably getting guaranteed over your first 4 years. But if you're not ready and you go Anthony Richardson's route, you're cutting yourself off from, any second contract will pale all the money you've made up until then. Yeah. So you should be thinking about what is going to set me up the best for my second contract. If you're already a guy like this who's millions of dollars in the bank already, what's setting me up best for my second contract? I think playing more years in the NFL, in college football, is setting you up best for the chance of getting that second contract, as we've seen from guys come out in recent years.
Yeah. So we are in the media. Easy to say, all right, this guy's draft eligible, boom, let's go. Yeah. But he is still, Dante Moore's very inexperienced. Yep. So this is very early as we're talking about him. We mentioned your mock draft over at CBSSports.com, and this is just from Monday. You do have Dante Moore in there. One other quarterback that caught my eye, Josh Hoover.
Oh, I love Josh.
From TCU. You have him going 25th to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, by the way, have 2 first-round picks and an aging Matthew Stafford. That would make sense there. You think Hoover ends up in the first-round conversation?
I think he does. 2 reasons. One, he's visibly bigger, stronger than he was last year. I think it was the biggest worry I had last year on his tape. Is like, he kind of looked like, a slot receiver. He's listed at 6'2", 200. Definitely looks like he's more in the 2 teens this year. And it's also shown with his arm. I think his arm's gotten a touch better because of that. And then 2, and I may regret saying this, but I think he's the best pure progression passer in college football right now. In that you see him go more to second and third reads at the correct time, when it needs to be, letting the ball go, when the receiver's breaking open, than anyone else in college football. And it's, again, early sample size. He hasn't played a ton of stiff competition, but that's what you like to see. Why do guys fail in the NFL who are uber talented? It's because you just rarely see stuff like that on college tape. And with him, it's 4 or 5 throws a week that he's doing just that. And so he's played a lot of football. I think he's a 4th or 5th year guy at this point. And he doesn't take sacks. He's a good athlete. I think last year of all the 3,200 plus yard passers, he took the fewest sacks in the country, 2 sacks through 3 games this year. And we're not going to be sitting here talking about, TCU offensive line prospects. It's not because of the offensive line. It's because that's his play style. So all those things, I'm a fan. He still has some accuracy issues. It's not like he's a perfect prospect. That's why I only put him back into the first round. But a lot of things to like from a guy who's leading a high-level passing offense right now.
So a lot still wide open when it comes to quarterback. So if you are, I guess, the Browns, depending on what we see from them, if you're the Rams with the Stafford injury, you get the 2 first-round picks. If you're a team that's going to need a quarterback a year from now, there's still a lot of unknowns.
Yeah. If I'm them, I'm hawking Mendoza and Moore. Those are your 2 guys who I think offer high end. I think Nussmeier ends up going in the first round, but he's going to feel like a Mac Jones-ish first rounder, or just in that vein of you're just not going to be super excited when you draft him. You're going to be like, he could probably start for us, but I'm not pumped. If Dante Moore plays his way into the number 1 overall pick, I'd be pretty pumped about drafting a guy like that, just given what he brings to the table physically.
I think Dante Moore, I might like him the best, but maybe next year, I might like him the best overall. Because even right out of high school, I was like, all right, I think this guy's going to be a future number 1 overall pick.
Yep.
Took some lumps as a freshman, redshirted. Like, we haven't seen him play a lot of football, but if I was predicting 5 years down the road, Dante Moore might be the guy out of this entire group that I feel best about. Lenorris Sellers is the other guy that had an injury a couple weeks ago, came back against Missouri this week. Still has the same passing issues, right? I mean, there was some projection there, like, hey, we hope he improves his timing and accuracy in the pass game, and there's always flashes. There's some really nice throws on tape. It's just not always there.
So the stat with him that I looked up the other week after his game, and that is the stat in my opinion, that I'm just like, you cannot come out this year. He has taken sacks on 9% of his collegiate dropbacks. And he also is like, you see his tape, like he avoids a zillion sacks too.
So the 2 things are true, right?
Yeah.
He is one of the best I've ever seen at breaking free from sacks.
Yes.
And avoiding getting tackled. I won't say avoiding sacks, avoiding getting tackled. And he's still taking, 9%?
That is 50% more frequent than Caleb Williams was in college. Wow. And Shedeur Sanders.
Okay. That's
so he is at a level of sack avoidance that is about as bad as we've seen from a guy considered a top prospect. That's just, to me, super worrisome. And it can get better. I want to see it get better before I'm willing to take a guy like that. That's the biggest thing with him. But, like, the tools are off the charts. He made some crazy throws this weekend against Missouri, but just, like, that's a guy, exhaust your eligibility because you're more valuable to a college team right now than you are to a
And that's the one I think, again, we screw it up because we have to talk about every draft-eligible player and make some kind of projection. And a projection is automatically a what-if. And in my analysis with Sellers, it's like, all right, if these 3 things come together, sack rate, passing, timing, and accuracy come together, there are some great accurate passes in there. I get it. Dan Orlovsky was telling us that Anthony Richardson was accurate because of the 1 throw that he made, right? Poor Dan. Dan-O catches strays all the time. There's nuance to this conversation. When you say a guy's inaccurate and then somebody raises their hand like, what about this throw? It's like, yes, even the great Christian Hackenberg had an accurate throw that you could pull out.
I forgot that Orlovsky did that.
But remember, he's like, people say Anthony Richardson is inaccurate. Watch this throw. Like, we can't do that. Sorry, Dan-O. He's always catching strays from us. So Sellers, yes, he's got some outstanding throws on there. I think his running ability is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, the timing and sack rate deal, both very important for him.
Yeah, I mean, and we said it with Richardson coming out. We're like, hey, the arm's so crazy, the running ability's so crazy, it should give you a high floor. But as we've seen, if you really aren't ready to pass, if you really aren't ready as a pocket passer, there's only so much you can do. There's really only so much you can do.
Right. There is a limit there. And I do wonder, I mean, rethinking these things every year, like how much does Josh Allen skew our perception? Because that was part of the Richardson deal, right? It's like, here's this athletic, big-bodied quarterback with accuracy issues. And we just saw Josh Allen and I would say Lamar Jackson improve. Lamar differently just because he's so special in how you have to defend him. I think he, it brings those open throws that make it easier for him because of his skill set. And then all of a sudden, Richardson didn't improve his accuracy like Allen did. So now it's like, it's tough to do.
Yeah, when anyone wants to say a guy can be the next Josh Allen, you have to tell me why he's not. Where are the areas for improvement that give me a story as to why he wasn't developed. With Josh Allen, there was a story that was obvious, that he came from the middle of nowhere, California, that he played at a junior college. Like, you could tell why that guy had no quarterback coaching up to that point that he was going to then get through the NFL. Like, people did it with Malik Willis coming out, where I was like, this guy went to a massive high school, went to Auburn, like, he was getting what he needed to get. I don't think there's a Josh Allen leap on his tape. With Sellers, I feel somewhat similarly, and also like I don't love his throwing motion. I think that's one of the biggest things. Is like he does not have what I would call an efficient throwing motion, even though he has a massive arm. It's just I think his throwing motion is going to lead to inaccuracy issues. Like a lot of the most accurate quarterbacks, they have textbook throwing motions. Like that's what leads to accuracy, and he just doesn't.
Lamar Jackson had a story too. I mean, he was starting in quarterback in high school without even a playbook.
Yeah,
it was like just go play football.
Yeah,
and then spent a couple years with Bobby Petrino, and got better
and won
and better and better and won the Heisman. Let me oversimplify things for you with a theory that someone else has, but I'll just pass it along. He essentially oversimplifies quarterbacks to: did you elevate your team or did you not? Were they better off with you or without you, both before and after? So some of it's hindsight, but did you elevate the squad? And I'll say, if you look back at Mahomes and Allen and Lamar Jackson and all of the quarterbacks that have gone to that elite level, almost all of them, like the only, like you'd say like Joe Burrow, maybe, I mean, he
elevated the squad.
He did. No, he did. But the argument against Burrow would be like, well, he had the two best receivers in the NFL, right? Like those are the things that were used against Matt Leinart at USC, and it's like, well, never take somebody from USC because they have all the best talent. Like Burrow kind of bucked that trend because he had the best talent, but of course he elevated them. They had one of the best seasons of all time. But is that maybe just a fair? I said Jaden Daniels. He was just the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Every time he was out there, is it really just that, and not so much the play-by-play, the grading, the metrics, the stats?
I think that has to happen. I think has to be a given. If a guy hasn't, that's a big.
Dak had Mississippi State up at number 1 overall for a week.
Brock Purdy did it at Iowa State. Like the guy, like Iowa State was nothing before Purdy. Then it was like they won games with Brock Purdy. So yes. I don't think every guy that's ever done that though at the collegiate level. It's like it's
we're trying to improve odds though.
Yes,
all we're trying to do is improve odds.
That's the starting point.
Cam Ward did it across multiple schools everywhere he went. So I don't know. I'm analytical me who believes in play-by-play and certain levels of grading, analysis, and stats at all positions, except maybe quarterback, where I might come down to like, did you elevate the
thing
team?
Against Anthony Richardson was like, was Florida any better because Anthony Richardson?
they got worse after Kyle Trask and all of his like Cam Newton is the perfect example of did you elevate the team? Forget about the traits and how he did it. Like he dragged that team to a national title, him and Nick Fairley. And it was just those two guys. So there probably is something to that, and that's going to be me from now on. Just did you elevate the team? Did they get better without you? With or without you? How about other players in your mock draft? We're again 4 weeks into the college football season. Who are some names that are creeping into the first round conversation for you? Tell our listeners, our viewers, who are some college football names that they need to know now that are more on your radar than they were?
I think that Carnell Tate, the Ohio State wide receiver, has a very good shot of being probably the second receiver off the board at this point. I just love his game.
The second best receiver on Ohio State, once again, going in the first round.
Yeah, and it's like we've seen how good Ibuka did. This guy's even bigger, longer, faster, I think.
Spoiler.
He's good.
Spoiler alert, Jake Butt will mention him later in the show.
He's awesome.
As a guy.
So I don't have to harp on him too long. So sticking at receiver, I really like Mekhi Lemon from USC. He's like a slot receiver, but kind of just feels like safe. Like the guy is very good. 438 yards already this year, 18.3 per catch. Great hands, physical, small-ish catch radius, but like he's a slot. He's been outstanding in my opinion.
By the way, last time we were here, oversight by me, we talked about offensive linemen, defensive linemen. We never really talked about the wide receiver class. Mm-hmm. How do you think the wide receiver class stacks up this year? I know people that are paying attention, 2027 looks out of this world.
Yeah.
But what about this season?
Not quite that. So this season, I bet we end up somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 first-rounders. So
really?
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be kind of on par with the new baseline that we've seen at the receiver position. But then there's a bunch of this class uniquely has a lot of small speedster dynamism types. There's probably about half dozen that could work their way into the top 100 that are 5'10" or below, probably all 180, mid 180s and below, all probably slot or vertical type receivers that if that's what you want in your offense, you want a little dynamism. Yikes! This class has a bunch of those guys.
The Eric Singleton, Zachariah Branch types.
Eric
Rivers, by the way.
Aaron Anderson.
I love Eric Rivers.
Eric Rivers, great.
I might like him more than Singleton.
He was my wide receiver 2 heading into the year. I don't think he's going to stay there because some guys have bounced up. But Eric Rivers is awesome.
I was going to did I ever text you about Rivers?
You did. He said he can fly. And I was like,
okay, because I would just
hell yeah, he can.
There's like, I need a list of my textable players, like the players that I text. I am like, I have feelings about this player. I need to text someone, and you're on my text list, right? And I couldn't remember if I did. It was, but I was watching Rivers, and I'm like, he might be better than the guy that he replaced.
He is, in my
Georgia
opinion.
Tech,
I think he is. He's the best athlete at wide receiver in this class. And maybe some guys are faster, maybe some guys are whatever, but no one has the combination of quicks and speed like Eric Rivers, Georgia Tech wide receiver.
So, yeah, interesting wide receiver class there. I'm surprised you said 4 in the first round. The consensus board as of right now, though, they have 5 in the top 34. Jordan Tyson, Arizona State, Carnell Tate from Ohio State, Denzel Boston from Washington, Antonio Williams from Clemson at 33, and Makai Lemon from
first round
at 34 from USC. So I could see it. Yeah, you don't think Williams ends up in the first?
No, and even Makai Lemon may not end up in the first just because of how that
slot.
How the position gets drafted, but it wouldn't surprise me if then other guys like a Jacoby Lane from USC, someone like that makes their way up into the first.
All right. Any other? So who else is in your first round? It sounded like you were trying to get some new names in there, but new names have been on the radar.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting defensive linemen that I included. One's Quincy Rhodes from Arkansas, who is one of those, like, if you just watch him for a second, you'll understand why. He's 6'6", 275, long arms, and just twitchy. 6'6", 275, and twitchy is already like...
That's Quentin Copels.
You're 85% of the way to the first round. And this tape's been good. I mean, you see him flashing some spin moves. You always like that. See a little body control from a guy that big. I think he needs to get a little stronger, play a little bit more physical, but...
I've seen Rhodes pop.
Redshirt sophomore, yeah.
For Arkansas. I've seen him flash a little bit, and then, I think he was one of those guys I looked at. I'm like, check, 6'6", 275. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's
it's good.
Radar. He's on my radar. You had him going 23rd overall to the Washington Commanders.
Mm-hmm. And then I also included Anthony Lucas from USC. He was a former 5-star, was trending towards being a draft pick last year, got hurt early on. I think he could be a first-rounder with a start to this season. He's 6'5", 285. Again, this class has some, like, big athletes off the edge. Everyone's kind of looking for that guy that's like, hey, we could maybe put him at 3-tech in a sub-package, and then you get 3 edges on the football field, just get a little more speed. He's that kind of guy.
Already seen that, by the way. Michael Williams doing that with San Francisco when Nick Bosa was healthy. I think he'll play on the edge a little bit more, but we've seen Michael, kind of a classic long edge, but they're putting him over the guard a bunch.
Yeah, everyone wants to do that in today's NFL just to get more speed, more athletes on the field. And then I threw in Caden McDonald, the Ohio State. He's basically Tyreek Williams' replacement at nose tackle. I like him even more than Tyreek. I thought Tyreek was kind of a tweener in that he could play the run really well, but he wasn't a true nose tackle frame. He was more of a kind of a versatile DT frame. I think he's going to be a very good player. I think Caden McDonald is a pure run stuffer. He dominated Texas in week 1. I mean, he kicked the ass of those interior linemen for UT, and he's 6'3", 326, just much more prototypical power player in the middle.
Yeah, Texas's guards were struggling, but you do have Texas tackle going in the top 10 here, Trevor Goosby.
Good tackle class.
Yeah.
Like this tackle class. Goosby's great. High-end athlete, freaksless guy. It was only seemingly a matter of time with him after we saw him fill in for Banks and Cameron Williams last year. He's just been awesome in pass pro. I think could even be more coveted than Banks at the end because he's a more prototypical tackle. He's 6'7", 312, long arms. Banks always had a weird, he had a wide wingspan, like a 7-foot wingspan, but very much had a guard-ish frame. So some people saw him as a guard.
A lot of people had Banks as a guard, Will Campbell as a guard.
Gooseby, though, that guy's a tackle every day.
One other name we just have to talk about, Ruben Bain Jr.
Oh, my gosh.
You got him going number 2 overall at the Titans. Last year, I made the statement, the most common mock draft player and team was going to be Will Campbell and the Patriots. I said that about 365 days before the draft, and it ended up coming true. I believe the Titans-Ruben Bain combination will be the most common mock draft pick, if you're a Titans fan and you're sitting there, you have Arden Key, Draymond Jones in the last years of their contract. I bet they're potentially traded before the end of the season.
Get him out of there.
Femi Oladejo as a developmental second-round edge rusher. Mm-hmm. The Titans might be doubling up at edge in this draft, and Ruben Bain, I think, has been the best player in the nation so far.
I declared on CBS HQ the other day, he's the first non-quarterback taken in this draft. I'm not breaking any ground there, but it's just like,
I declared he should be leading the Heisman conversation.
Probably.
The way he's been playing.
It feels like Aiden Hutchinson's last year, whereas like we know he's a good player. And then he came back for one more year. I mean, Bain had to come back. He's a junior, but like comes back and it's just like, wow, that guy's actually.
Oh, now he's great. Instead of just very good in college.
Yes, this guy's actually transcendent. So massive. I mean, he's unbelievable. That he's going to be a star at the NFL level. There's just no doubt he's going to be top 3 pick.
So he's listed at what, 275?
Yeah, 6'3", 275.
And I can't figure out. I was listening to the broadcast the other day. They said he like dropped 20 pounds but gained 15 pounds of muscle. And I'm like, all right, so is he like 255 now? But it's like 4% body fat. Like, where is he?
He still looks 270. I mean, he looks like a defensive tackle still.
How would
that guy is built.
How would you describe his game? Because he had a good freshman year. Last year, a little bit less consistent, but he's playing through injury. And when a player's playing through injury, if you know it, Michael Williams last year, like we knew he was playing on a bad ankle, so you know what you're looking for. But Bain did not look. He was good last year, but he looks special through 4 weeks.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of. Why am I blanking on his name? Who was the Chiefs? Honestly, kind of both the Chiefs. Who was like the mid 2010s? Who's the guy? Justin Houston.
Justin Houston
reminds me a little of Justin Houston.
That's a good comp.
Of just like maybe even like a little bit thicker. Like Justin Houston was, I think, like 6'3", 270. And it was just like a high side rusher at that because he had such good bend and such good power that he could just get a ton of sacks because usually your high side rushers, you're like bend the edge guys are TJ Watt. They're 250, they're 240. They're guys who win with their first step. But he's got such good combination of first step, but then also bend for two. Most guys who are 275 can't bend. Most guys who are 275 have to run through offensive tackles. But he can run through you, but then also if he goes to your edge, you're just going to have a really tough time trying to deal with his rip move. So, he's kind of that type of rusher.
For Bain, I wrote down, the speed to power and just as a power player, he's very good. But the bend is special.
So yes.
Is his burst – where's his burst and his get off and the ability to challenge with speed?
Yeah, he's never going to just completely,
like good for 275.
He's never going to Nick Bonito an offensive tackle like you saw against Joe Alt last week, where it's just like, oh man, he just ran around him. No, it's not that, but he threatens you so much as a bull rusher that if you stop your feet a little and he then goes to the edge, it's good enough that he's going to basically just run through. He can run through your arms. Yeah, he'll run through your arms.
Yeah, Bain's impressive, and he is just a game wrecker in the run game. He is a disruptor. I think I have, I don't want to say a soft spot for that, but guys like Shamar Stewart and Trayvon Walker who didn't have the production but are elite athletes, and now they just could be like bull in a china shop types.
Yeah.
When you have, if you have, in Trayvon Walker's case, a really polished edge rusher on the other side, like a Josh Hines-Allen, like maybe that combination works. And if Shamar Stewart has a Trey Hendrickson, who knows in the future, opposite him, it's like just go run through somebody.
Yeah.
I feel like Bain has elements of that, but he's also just good overall and can bend the edge and
the other guy can clean it up.
Yes. So Ruben Bain is the name to know, and I guarantee you had him with the Titans, and I think if the Titans are picking in the top 3 or 4 as they appear,
that's your dream. Your dream is that the Titans get to whatever pick is the first pick that a quarterback's not coming off the board.
The other, I think did you have Keldrick Falk number 1 coming in?
No, number 1 edge. Yeah, I did, and he's been fine. Like
him and TJ Parker. I was wondering, is that Clemson's underwhelmed, and I think the defensive line is underwhelmed.
Parker's still very good. I'm not like down on Parker whatsoever, but Falk, I had hoped we would see kind of what we just saw with Ruben Bain, where it's like he takes this big next step. I don't think we have, but he's such a crazy athlete that's like, hey, you're still taking him top 15 and just saying he will figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", 285. He's even growing into like maybe a full-time interior guy with how big that guy's frame is. Or even like, kind of J.J. Watt-ish role is his best role in my opinion.
That's one of the themes of this draft, right? Like how
There's
many
so many guys,
LT Overton, like how many 275 to 290 pound edges are there in this class? They're all hybrids, which used to be a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're saying, like with nickel fronts and everything that, nickel defense and, kick these guys on the interior, like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Ruben Bain, TJ Parker.
Cameron Jordan's played on the
Mateo
edge at 280 his entire career
Mm-hmm.
and been fine. I mean, it's not great. Justin Houston, though, I think is an awesome comp for Ruben Bain. I can buy that.
That's how Justin Houston used to rush, man. He's just ripped to the edge. That's how you get 22 sacks. I mean, that's the guys that win to the edge are your guys that get the most sacks. That's how you, because it surprises quarterbacks. It's like they think you're past them, and then all of a sudden you're on them.
Yeah.
The ones who are winning with inside moves or with bull rushes, it doesn't surprise them. They feel it. They can get off of that, and then you have to get off a block to finish it. But those guys, Ruben Bain's going to have a ton of sacks.
Any other college football names, draftable prospect names that have stood out or that you need to highlight or that you're keeping an eye on necessarily here for the rest of the season?
I love Cade Piper from Iowa.
Ooh, okay.
He is the most athletic offensive lineman I've ever seen in college.
Whoa.
He's like one of the first. You know how you read the freaks list and you're like, okay, sure, this offensive lineman runs like a 4.7 and has a 38-inch vertical. Okay. He was like one of the
Penn State or Michigan,
Michigan
lying about all your stuff. Yeah.
He's one of the very first guys that I watched the tape and I was like, yeah, okay, he does. And this year he's playing guard. He's not a guard. He's going to be a center at the next level. He just doesn't have like the length of the size. He's 290, but he is such an incredible athlete that I think I mocked him to the Chargers.
Yeah,
I would just
Chargers
love
at 26
to see him.
you have. Yeah.
Greg Roman just throwing him on the move because I've never seen a guy. He runs faster than the linebackers you're going against. Truly, I mean, he is the best athlete I've seen ever at offensive line. The guy's incredible. So
that's how Jason Kelsey played. I used to say Jason Kelsey looks like a linebacker playing center, and he makes it work.
So Piper, this is his first year as a starter, but I would draft that guy in the first round whenever he wants to come out.
Do you have any other names before, or is that it?
No, that's it in terms of guys I really have been intrigued by.
I want to wrap it with this. Any early season rookie takes, opinions, first impressions?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You and I were talking off air a little bit about Mike Green, slow start for him with the Ravens. We both liked Mike Green, but he looks small, not powerful. The bend that we saw in the preseason isn't showing up. And, we'll see what happens.
It might just take him a while. I still believe 3 games, whatever. But usually the signal goes stronger in the positive manner early on in a guy's career than the negative. So from positive perspective, Xavier Watts to me has been the one guy who stood out where I'm just like, damn, way underdrafted. And I'm on my board. I think I had him like 64th. He goes, Falcons, I want to say 96 to the Falcons.
Falcon safety, where I think a lot of mock drafts had him in the second.
Yeah,
a lot of people expected him to go in the second round as a safety.
It was, even at the time, was pretty universally lauded as a steal at the back end of the third. He's awesome. I mean, he just looks like a starting high quality. He looks like a vet. I mean, just playing at a speed with the ability that I don't think he's missed a tackle yet through 3 games. That just you don't usually see from a rookie safety. It's a tough position to translate to the NFL. Outside of him, I think the linebackers too. I was very surprised. Not very surprised given I thought they were both awesome prospects, but it's just a position that's been tough to translate. But Jahad Campbell, Carson Schlesinger,
both look good.
You do a redraft right now, those guys are probably going 10 picks higher just because those guys are going to be players at the NFL level. You've seen it. Right?
Before Schlesinger went first pick of the second round, which may have surprised some people, but there were rumblings about him going to Kansas City in late first, Buffalo late first. Mm-hmm. And I really thought Jahad Campbell, there was a ton of teams in the teens that needed edge rush help, but just overall defense help. And I thought, man, Jahad Campbell would be a good fit for the Colts, the Bengals, the Falcons, a lot of the teams that were in the teens. And, of course, the Eagles get him at 31. So, good deal for Philadelphia.
A few more takes. T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, stud, number 1 wide receiver. I would take him over Marvin Harrison Jr. right now if I had to pick between the two to start a team. The guy's outstanding and really the only one of the Carolina Panthers who I would even throw the ball to ever. And then I got to pump my tires on 2 running back takes. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Cam Scatterbo. They're great.
Yes.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is going to be.
You were the one. You were the first on Bill.
Bill
Krosky-Merritt.
Sorry, Ja'Cory.
It may have been last year, this week or next week, somewhere.
It was week one because you only played week one.
But it was about a year ago that I had you on the show, and you brought that up. And like, hey, there's only week one tape here at Arizona, but watch this guy. And then he goes to the Shrine Bowl and Shrine Game, and does what he does, and here he is.
I mean, he looks, and even just like in the action he's had in the NFL, not even just the hype that he's getting because he's playing as 7th rounder. He looks good.
You're right on Scat. I mean, we were all on Scatterbo.
Scatterbo was the class. I just think that if you really waited, if you're really super worried about his speed, I think you were just not caring. I don't know how to describe it.
If the only thing you're worried about for a running back is speed, then that's a you problem. Unless they run 5.2, right?
I think you're just. How running back is played at the NFL level is not speed-based.
Yeah.
It's burst-based. His burst was great. His speed stinks. It's Kyren Williams. It's Kyren Williams. Like, you do everything else besides speed, you're going to be a good back at the NFL level because basically 95-ish% of your plays aren't about speed.
Some David Montgomery in there, right? Where everything up to 15 yards is great. And now Montgomery's rattling off 70-yarders. Maybe if he had speed, he would have taken it to the house.
100%. Yeah, obviously you would like the speed, but I couldn't believe he fell to the 4th. There was a reason Arizona State just like at some point said last year, he's our whole offense, and he almost beat freaking Texas. He almost beat Texas.
Right.
Him. It was not really anyone else there.
So. As one GM told me about Scatterbo, quote, dog, end quote. So we have seen that earlier.
GM knows ball.
I saw you drop a take, too. Is it the bottom 3 teams in EPA per rush all just drafted a first-round running back?
They did. No, not first round, top 40. So it was
top 40.
Patriots and Travion Henderson.
Yes.
And then the 2 first-rounders, Amarian Hampton and Genty. I'm a little worried about Hampton, honestly.
I thought you were going to say Genty. Okay.
I mean, Genty, I'm worried about their offensive line. Because, one, it was always, like, super young. I think 4 of their 5 starters are on their rookie contracts. And 2, Pete Carroll's son's their O-line coach. It's like, Pete, what the hell does Pete Carroll's son know about offensive line play? And he learned under Tom Cable. Is who he was the first. He was like a wide receiver and then a tight ends coach.
You don't know what he's teaching.
I know the results. I know the fruit, and it's been awful.
As a father of 4 boys, everybody's anti-nepotism.
No.
I'm handing companies to my sons in 10 years.
I'm not anti-nepotism.
I'm just kidding.
I am pointing out that he's not been coaching that offensive line well.
No, I get
their offensive line results are bad.
I just
and it's like and then when your credentials are his credentials to be offensive line coach in the NFL, that's when you get a little like,
and I think it's the most important position coach.
Yes, that's why.
When it is good, it is a massive difference.
Yeah.
For the position that requires the most development, that I would say, or allows for the most development, where you see the biggest jumps of any position, I would say, at offensive line.
And that is, we call it like receiving core. We call them like groups of positions. They're the one team that actually has to act in unison.
Yeah.
Like there is a element of unison that has to exist there. That really doesn't. As receivers have to break their routes off sometimes. Like 2 routes will interplay, and you better be at the right spot to do that. But you're not actually like playing off the guy next to you in a true sense of touching in the way that offensive linemen are actually.
One guy gets
touching
the ball. The offensive line is.
Yeah.
On every single play, they're required to either run block or pass block.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you're not worried about Genty. Does he lack the it factor?
I mean,
as people
every running back lacks the it factor. Look at Saquon Barkley in New York. Every running back, if you don't have a good situation around him, lacks the it factor. I'm sorry. That no one can overcome.
I know we have a lot of short memories here in the media, but Saquon was a 3.8, 3.9 yards per carry guy until he goes to Philadelphia, and that jumped up like 2 yards per carry.
Yep.
What changed? So you're not worried about Genty. Why would you be worried about Amarian Hampton?
I do just think his, he's super talented again physically. When he gets a crease, it's still going to look good. But I think he's so, he just almost runs too hard. He just runs, his vision cone is narrow. He will run at, and that kind of works in the gap scheme. It's like probably better in the gap scheme than the zone scheme, but you're just seeing a little bit of lack of creativity on his tape that, when the results are as bad as they've been, I'm a little worried about.
I thought he ran. I didn't think he ran hard. Week 1.
Okay.
Against Kansas City, Hampton. I thought
Tentative.
he didn't finish some plays that he could have. I thought that got better the last couple of weeks, week 2 in particular against the Raiders, but he also fumbled, or whatever that fumble was when Max Crosby jumped into the backfield. What you described, though, I think he's a better gap runner.
Yeah.
Which is you've got a puller, right? You follow the puller. You're in that cone as you described. The zone scheme takes not only reading the block in front of you, but backside vision. And I agree. Like, I saw that at UNC. Granted, I was blinded at UNC by what Willie Lampkin was doing. Every single time I'm watching O'Marion Hampton run, I'm like, this Willie Lampkin is incredible. But I thought, so I had my own cone vision there. But I agree on Hampton. I'm not necessarily worried about him, but I think he's been the guy, like, really athletic, talented physically.
Yeah.
Not the best pure runner of the football necessarily.
Yeah. And with New England, they just need to.
Their EPA is low because everybody's fumbling,
fumble,
right? They've got 2 Ramondre
They don't
fumbles.
even play Travion Henderson.
I know.
They just need to figure out
Well, I saw
what they want to be offensively. They don't
Travion's
have
really
time.
low in expected yards or whatever after
I-
rushing yards over expected. He's had like 12 carries or something.
I
right?
did hate the Josh McDaniels Drake May pairing though from the start. I just don't think that's the
Oh,
offense.
really? You don't like this, huh?
I just don't think that's his offense. I think you want to be a lot more vertical, a lot more crossers, a lot more of that.
McDaniels
So,
was a lot of slot heavy and
Yeah.
middle of the field attacking though. I
Yeah,
like Drake throwing over the middle of the field.
he does, yeah.
The truth about Josh McDaniels, though, is his offense has literally only worked for Tom Brady in like 10 games of Mac Jones.
Yeah.
That's literally it, right? He went to the Rams as offensive coordinator. He was head coach of the Broncos, head coach of the Raiders. Didn't work anywhere. And it only worked with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So do with that what you want. Fair. I think Bays looked pretty good overall, though.
Yes. I graded all the young quarterbacks, and he had the highest grade, just like in terms of expectations and how they've done. I think he's good. The situation just stinks still.
What about the year 2 quarterbacks and how Bo Nix has looked? You were a Bo Nix guy.
Yeah. He hasn't looked, in my opinion, as bad as worst grade at PFF. It's because he just is missing every throw. It's not. I don't think his decision making is even that bad. Like the picks week 1.
He's at least throwing to the open guy.
Yes, he's still decision making wise like that, and that's why their offense has been better than. He's the lowest grade quarterback. His offense is better than the Panthers, than the
week 1 turnover-worthy plays were bad though.
I thought the
Tennessee.
first one was on Cortland Sutton. To be honest, I thought he drifted when he could have just cut across when he was cutting across the field and then drifted and let the defender get in.
Okay,
Second one was a bad one.
Yeah,
but it's more just been like. He's missing on the deep balls that he hit last year. He's just missing a lot of throws.
And that's how he started last year, though.
It is.
He started by very fidgety and missing a bunch of stuff. And theoretically, you're like, oh, he turned a corner and that got better. But it's bad again.
It's bad again.
Caleb Williams looks a little better.
He does, yeah. I even thought he looked better week 1 when everyone wanted to poop on him for it. And I think he's just like he's improved in ways
he just missed a
that he needed to
couple
improve. He is inaccurate. That's the weirdest thing. He really wasn't at USC and is now. So
I can't. Those things are tough to unpack. When a player has something that was Baker Mayfield early in his career. Like, why is he inaccurate? He was accurate by every measure, statistically and eye test.
Yeah.
At Oklahoma. The only thing you could say, maybe some stuff's more open. So like, let's see the tight window stuff. It's like Baker Mayfield's accurate, and he started his NFL career inaccurate, and now I'd say he's back as far as being mostly accurate. And the thing I worry about Baker is more like decision making, but just has some wild plays in there. But yeah, Caleb being inaccurate is a bit of a surprise, but still does a lot of the special outside of structure.
yeah, he'll be. I think he'll be fine.
So I always warn people with 1-year redrafts that people have put out there, and Caleb Williams was 6 after 1. Like it changes every year because of various things.
It does.
That stuff can change.
It does. It doesn't mean we can't write those articles.
You got to have
those articles.
You got to have good content, Mike.
But you need to. Even with like draft prospects, it's not just how they did in the last year. That's obviously the most important, but you got to contextualize it with the rest of their careers.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, all right, man, this is fun. Always love rambling about college football and rookies and the whole thing. Tell everybody where they can find all your stuff.
You could find Pushing the Pile wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on X at @MikeRenner_.
All right, appreciate it. As always, Mike, we'll have you again when as the takes change and evolve in the next few weeks.
Sweet.
Special bonus episodes. We got Renner here with all his opinions and takes, and we're going to throw it to Jake Butt from Big Ten Network, and we'll see you again Monday morning with more Check the Mic. All right, we're excited to be joined by Jake Butt of the NFL, not the NFL Network, the Big Ten Network, the best conference in America, according to everyone at the Big Ten. Jake, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Excited to break this down with you, break down some football with you. Big Ten prospects for sure.
Yeah, so Jake, I hear you on Big Ten Network all the time. Think you do a great job, so excited to have you on the show here. Let's start with some of the Big Ten quarterbacks. It's a weird year for quarterbacks. A lot of the draftable QBs who are expected to maybe go near the top of the draft are struggling, and some other names are sneaking in there. Seeing Dante Moore from Oregon, who looks great early on right now. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. What have you seen from let's start with Dante Moore. What have you seen from him so far this season?
Well, I'll just say generally, just to make a statement about the Big Ten, like this is the healthiest, the Big Ten. I mean, Big Ten, you think run the ball and play great defense, but the quarterback play across the conference has never been in a better place. And then you look at a guy like Dante Moore. I called his first game against Montana State this year, and I think we were all just on the edge of our seat because he's a 5-star. He goes to UCLA. He starts as a freshman, but he struggles a bit and then gets benched. And then he makes the unorthodox decision, which this is why I'm so high on him. When the world of the transfer portal is, let's go find the quick fix in the biggest bag, he says, I'll go to Oregon to sit on the bench and learn behind Dylan Gabriel and learn in this Oregon system where I've seen Bo Nix elevate his game. And I'm betting on the same that will happen with Dylan Gabriel. And I'm betting on the same for myself. It was a very mature statement that he made. He said, I want to go to Oregon because I want them and I believe in them that this is the best place to allow me to develop. He clearly has the talent. That's why he was a 5-star in high school. The ball, he throws a pretty ball. I called his game last week against Oregon State, and I had to make the analogy. He had 4 or 5 back shoulder fades. I had to even use an analogy that transcended football. It was like watching Steph Curry shoot threes. It doesn't hit the rim. They were perfectly placed back shoulder fades to multiple different receivers. So he doesn't have a favorite guy. Tight spiral, the ball jumps out of his hands and it looks effortless. And then Will Stein, who has coached a number of great quarterbacks at Oregon, and Bo Nix was the first round pick, the most notable one, said that when it's all said and done, this is the first thing he told us, that he thinks Dante Moore will be the best that they've seen here. And once he made that statement, my ears perked up a little bit. And what we've seen to start the year is confirmation of that this guy has really, really special talent. This week on the road at Penn State, I think, is when everybody will really, really wake up. If he can continue to have the success he's been having this year against that Penn State defense, now you'll see the conversation really start to accelerate.
It's so difficult sometimes to evaluate college quarterbacks when you go through the film. Early in the year, Dante's sitting there in a beautiful, pristine pocket with the aesthetically pleasing throwing motion that you mentioned. He's got great touch. He has velocity. How much do you think that's going to be amped up a little bit as Big Ten play moves on here in the coming weeks? The pressure and having to deal with a little bit more, defense in his face a little bit more than what we've seen the first few weeks.
Naturally, I mean, it will be amped up, and if it doesn't for some reason happen this weekend, it will throughout the season because I believe Oregon's a team that's going to make a deep playoff run. So we're going to get to see Dante against the best teams and the best defenses starting this weekend, but throughout the regular season and deep into the playoffs. And what I love about him, though, is he's like the orchestrator of this offense. When you watch Will Stein call plays, there's not one thing that you can do to take away the strength of their offense. I believe they have, I think it was something like 8 different players with 2+ touchdowns on their offense. So he's distributing the ball all over the place, and he's going through his reads. I think that's another thing you don't get to see at the college level is guys work a front side read, snap their feet, reset on time, and deliver into their third or fourth on their backside read. And he shows that. And he's also got like a slipperiness to him in the pocket. pocket footwork and awareness, an ability to extend plays. He looks really comfortable throwing the ball on the run. And then at times he's even shown an ability to hurt defenses with his legs. He's not a dynamic runner like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, but he's a very capable runner, which, I mean, we're seeing it. It's really important for NFL offenses to have that element at some level from their quarterbacks. And Dante's shown that as well.
And as you mentioned, a former 5-star who, if you just watched a high school All-American game, like he looked like a future number 1 overall pick. And even with the ups and downs that he had that one year at UCLA, it's almost like he's back on track. Now, we don't want to rush people. We're going to talk about DJ Lagway and Arch Manning and some of maybe the failed expectations. And so we don't want to put that on Dante just yet, but he looks outstanding so far. Can't wait to see him as the Big Ten ramps up. What about Fernando Mendoza from Indiana? Another, coming off this monster game against Illinois. Indiana looks like a great team. Again, people sleeping on them just because of what happened in the playoff or against Ohio State last year. What have you seen from Mendoza transferring in from Cal?
Yeah, man. I mean, what we saw was a complete and utter beatdown this past weekend of Illinois. And that I thought that was going to be a close game. I mean, I wasn't going to be surprised if either team won by 2 touchdowns, but to see what we saw this past weekend, and it was never even close. I mean, Mendoza was leading that offense like a hot knife through butter through that Illinois defense. And I'll take you back again. I just, in my position, getting the chance to talk with coaches and do coaching calls and pregame interviews, I was there when Notre Dame beat Indiana in the playoff game. And we were lucky enough to get a post-game interview with Curt Cignetti. And if he didn't want to do an interview after that loss, I would have understand. But he walked 100 yards over to us. We were on the other side of the field. It was a cold night. And I was expecting to see a guy that was all upset. And the first thing he said to us was how excited he was about next season because he knew he was getting Fernando Mendoza. He said, this guy we're getting at quarterback is special. And I think part of when you look at his like draft prospect and evaluation, we're talking about what he did at Cal. And what he did at Cal was have to overcome a bad team around him, bad offensive line, bad weapons, bad defense. So you saw a guy that had to press because he's a competitor and wants to win games. At times, it's like going to the casino. At times, that is what got him in trouble, throwing the ball into tight windows, taking risks that I think were necessary. But we because in the context of, hey, we want to win. We're Cal. We need to take risks. In that context, they were necessary. But now what you're seeing and what you saw against Illinois is a mature quarterback. The ball jumps out of his hands effortlessly. He has good footwork and fundamentals in the pocket. He has a zip to his throwing motion, but then he had a nice red zone throw layered over the top of a linebacker, face mask high in the back of the end zone to one of his receivers. So he knows how to switch up his throwing velocities, and he throws with great accuracy in a tight spiral. I don't think he has the movement capability of even a Dante Moore. I don't think he's a high level athlete, but just enough to navigate the pocket. I've seen him mocked as a first round draft pick, and just talking to Cignetti, like they are really, really high on Mendoza.
That layered throw, his receiver told him, right? Like mid play, pointed up and said, give it to me high in the end zone. Like the chemistry just in the first year, how difficult that is sometimes. Mendoza's looking really good. By the way, I'm a big Omar Cooper fan. Omar Cooper, the number 2 receiver at Indiana behind Elijah Surratt. But I love what Cooper brings to the table.
They got it. That's the thing too, is when people talk about Indiana, just go off a side tangent here. Like they have NFL. That's an NFL roster. Surratt is an NFL player. Cooper's an NFL player. That NFL offensive lineman, quarterback, running back, NFL defenders. So I mean, this is a legitimate football team.
Have you seen any coach? I just want to talk about Curt Cignetti for a minute. I don't think I've heard a coach with that just straight up confidence that he brings to the table. He's just like, here's what I'm going to do. I believe I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go do it. Even at Indiana, love the confidence that he brings to the table.
He reminds me a little bit of Coach Harbaugh in that sense, where there's like a quirkiness to him, but I think it comes from, Cignetti bet on himself. Like he was like a position coach at the early Saban years and said, wait a second, I want to be a head coach one day, and just went down to like a few levels and just has one and one and one and one. And he's built this system that basically where he can tell his assistants and his team, if you do what I'm telling you to do, we collectively will win.
Yeah.
And he's been exactly right at this point. And he's great at identifying talent. That's such an underrated piece at the transfer portal level. You have to be able to scout talent, buy low and sell high. And he's hit on so many of his transfers.
Another Big Ten quarterback that's always mentioned in the first round came back to school this year, Drew Allar from Penn State. Another year with Allar as the starter here. What have you seen so far? And has he taken the necessary strides to be a potential top 10 pick next year?
So far, no, he hasn't. But I really wanted to talk to you about Drew Allar today, because this is where evaluating college quarterbacks is challenging, because the systems are just so strange. And they went out and got Andy Kotelnicki from Kansas, who runs, I mean, it's like a go-go gadget type offense. You're not seeing any NFL teams run this type of system. And I do these thought experiments. I'm like, what if Drew Allar swap places with J.J. McCarthy? And we saw Drew Allar in Michigan's offense for those 2 or 3 years when J.J. was under center. I think Drew Allar would be a top 5 pick, no doubt, where he can play within the pocket, big play action, that big, tall stature, and strong arm, beautiful throwing motion. He lost some weight, so he's increased his mobility. But in this system, I just don't know that I don't think it's the best system to showcase his talents, but you see flashes. It's just the inconsistency at this point is what's preventing him from being a lock first-round pick. I still think he has the traits to get there, but it's been a really inconsistent start to the season, especially now. There's no excuse. They've upgraded the wide receiver position, and this would be a huge test again. The flip side of Dante Moore is now it's Penn State facing Oregon's defense with all the expectations in the world. We'll see what Drew Allar's made of this weekend.
Yeah, every big game that Penn State plays in will be huge, because even though Penn State made it to the semifinals last year, Allar, whether it's some flashes in the Big Ten championship, but in the semifinals, in other big games last year, always left you wanting just a little bit more, right? So we'll see.
They're wide receivers. If you watch that Notre Dame game, I don't blame Drew, because there was zero separation on any play. But now they have the receivers, and they're playing against lower opponents, and he's not dominating. That's the part that's concerning. I've been a Drew Allar defender, but we're not seeing him dominate. So we'll have to see this season.
Notre Dame, not too many teams played as much man coverage as Notre Dame last year. They were blanketing a lot of teams despite some of their injuries. They were impressive last year. That's why they made it to the finals. So high level, just from a quarterback perspective, as I said at the top here, we were expecting different names at the top of the draft. Usually there's a guy that's like, all right, this guy's going to go number 1 overall. And we're not necessarily having that. And then with the younger quarterbacks, DJ Lagway, his sophomore year, Arch Manning, his first year as a starter, we spend the whole off. It's the longest off season in all of sports, college football, right? It's February through September. And so it's a lot of time to build up hype for these quarterbacks. Lagway had it at Florida. Arch Manning had it, of course, at Texas. Disappointing so far. Are we overrating quarterbacks just too quickly? Like, what's going on here?
We overrate everything these days. So it's not just quarterbacks. That's what we do in the off season. We fall in love with special. We're a highlight tape type of society. It's what social media is. And we fall in love with these highlights and the potential and the projection and the name value too, obviously with Arch Manning. But playing quarterback at a high level is so much more than that. It's so much more than just having a big arm. It's so much more than having raw talent. And a big piece of that too is being in the right system, but can you operate the right system? I feel bad for Arch Manning. He seemed like a humble guy. I don't think he asked for this. I don't think he played into it all too much, but man, I just don't think he was set up for success. And you go all the way back to his high school tape. He wasn't playing against elite high school competition, and he was throwing to guys with 10 yards of separation back then. So maybe we were deceived a little bit. I'm not out on Arch, and I'm not out on DJ either. But it's you see how perspective can shift narratives here. And for DJ, it's exactly that. Of what we do is we see flashes of special and just immediately project to, wow, he's going to be even better next year. But why? Like, does he have a better knowledge of his offense? Is he surrounded by better talent? Does he have a better understanding of defense? Is he more disciplined? Is his footwork better? Like, these are all pieces of the equation that you'd have to be able to answer confidently to say, yeah, he'll be better next year and then going forward. And just clearly, that's not been the case for either guy quite yet.
I blame Madden for that, Jake. It's Madden gives you 2 points on your overall every year, and that's what we've been trained to know, right? Linear progression every single year, and I say that a lot, right? In the NFL, right? C.J. Stroud had a great rookie season. Doesn't mean he's going to continue to get better. Jaden Daniels looked like a future MVP candidate. Doesn't mean he'll completely get better every single season. Sometimes it happens, but it is difficult. And, tough start for Lagway and Arch Manning. And Arch against Ohio State to kick off the season, we were all like, man, that wasn't what we expected. And I honestly, I feel like if he could have just hit a shallow cross in that game, you might have a different result.
You can see when guys like, I don't know, in the world of analytics, like you can't quantify it, but you can see when guys are sped up. Like they're just, the game is not slowed down. They're not seeing things well. They're not anticipating. They're just guessing. And I think that's exactly what you're seeing with both these guys right now is things are moving really, really fast for them, too fast. And it's like you're just drowning out in the sea. You just can't catch up. So, because obviously when you evaluate these prospects, when I was at Michigan, hey, we're going to watch Ohio State. We're going to watch Michigan State. We're going to watch your bowl game. Like we're going to evaluate you based on the best of opponents. And, Arch's tape against Ohio State, not going to cut it. DJ's against Miami this past weekend, not going to cut it. So that's just what it is. It's football.
It's funny because we already talked about Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza. They feel very confident and comfortable right now. They feel the opposite. Like the game looks really slow. For Dante Moore as a second-year starter, the game looks very slow for him right now. Again, we'll see what happens as the competition speeds up a little bit more. What about elsewhere? Oh, let me drop a curveball on you here. Aiden Childs from Michigan State. I didn't tell you this off air, Jake. I interviewed for Michigan State's GM job this offseason.
Oh, wow.
I was in the mix. It was their executive director of player personnel, GM, whatever the job was. So I studied Aiden a little bit. Tons of potential. What have you seen from him early in the season so far?
That was the whole thing with Aiden is the potential was undeniable. I mean, he would make splash plays, big arm, great athlete. He's a special kid too. Like he's got a little funniness to him. Guys like to hang around him, it seems, in the locker room. But his big issue was it was boom or bust, as he was making far too many mistakes. As much as he would win games for you, he would lose games for you. But what we've seen early this season is he's taken strides in prioritizing protecting the football. I think he's benefited. It's an improved Michigan State offensive line. They went out and got Omari Kelly at wide receiver to add talent combined with Nick Marsh. I don't think the offensive line is nearly good enough.
It's not there yet.
Not there yet. No. In the running backs are improved, but not good enough. The defense, not good enough. But he has done a good job, I think, of just controlling what's within his world and giving his team a chance to win. And you're seeing those flashes of special. I mean, he made a huge throw. That team showed a lot of fight against USC late this past Saturday night. And if he wasn't on that roster, that game would be ugly. But he made some big time throws and he can hurt you with his legs. And, he's kind of the opposite of those other two guys of Arch and DJ. Like he's clearly made some strides this offseason. So I think the future's bright for him.
Yeah, and it's his second year starting. It's third year with some experience, and you can see the progression. Like we have to have some patience sometimes. And that would have been my first order of business was the trenches over there, Jake. Both lines need some work.
Yeah, I mean that's Michigan State's best teams.
Yeah,
they want to run the ball and play great defense. They just don't have the personnel yet.
It's just not there yet. How about elsewhere around the Big Ten, non-quarterbacks or players that have stood out so far through a few weeks?
All right, hot take for you here. Ohio State, Carnell Tate, they got another first-round pick here. All right, I'll just be short and sweet. Rinse and repeat. Just nameless, faceless. They're going to pump another one into the NFL.
Wait, another first-round receiver who's the second-best receiver on the team? Is that what's
crazy,
happening here?
Right? It's just, I mean, even at times, Carnell might have been the second or best. I mean, they were just, they don't look at it as a wide receiver. They think they have multiple wide receiver ones, and that's what they have with Carnell. Like they have such an unbelievable system there. Those guys train like NFL wide receivers. Like Carnell's touchdown against Texas week 1 on that go ball. notice how late he flashes his hands. That's something you really don't see guys develop until their third or fourth year in the NFL, when they realize how good the defensive backs are. And if I flash my hands too early, they're going to pry it loose. Carnell is already operating like a third-year NFL vet, and I think that's why Emeka looks so good there with the Buccaneers. Like, what happens is you draft these Buckeye wide receivers, and they come in year one already like a year 3 or year 4 seasoned vet. So I think Carnell – just rinse and repeat. I mean, he's a junior, so he could come back. But go get your money, man. I think he's going to be a first round pick in next year's draft. Great blocker too. Great blocker, by the way. Yes.
And Emeka Egbuka, like I kind of forgot about him for a minute just because of what Jeremiah Smith was doing, and then when I finally went back to the tape again before the draft, I was like, wait, I forgot how good he is. And how subtly good he is, and he's just always open, like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, almost like the same scouting report. And Egbuka, to me, I don't know what it was. It felt like he always brought out the best in quarterbacks. It was like they had their best throws to him, and then he, finished the play all the time. Now he's doing the same thing with the Bucs. Tight window
catches
throws.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. Contested catches. Even though he's not 6'5", I mean, it's just Egbuka's really good, and he's carried that to the NFL.
Yep. Few more?
Anyone else standing out?
A few more. I got to throw a tight end here for you.
Give me all the names you have. Give me everything.
All right. Kenyon Sadiq. This guy is the best tight end in college football. His offensive coordinator calls him one of the best weapons in college football. He was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. This guy runs like 22 miles an hour, has a 42-inch. He's going to be a combine. He's going to be one of those guys when they come out with the rack score that you're just going to see his name mocked higher and higher and higher and higher. And he's only 6'3". He's like 6'3", 245, not an ounce of fat on his body. His calves are like boulders. He's just jacked. But he's a dominant blocker too. Like, that's the thing, is it's a lost art. He is blocking defensive ends, linebackers. He's comfortable out in space. Last year, he was more of like a gadget guy. Like, let's get you the ball in the flat, and I'll just go hurdle you because I only get so many opportunities behind Ferguson. But this year, he's become a legitimate weapon in their offense. He was their leading returning receiver, and there's really no weakness to his game. I mean, he could run past you, but he can run and separate on the intermediate routes, a dominant blocker. Great speed, 400-pound bench press. Like, there's truly no weakness in his game. And this is Oregon, okay? They have great playmakers at every position every single year. And the coaching staff raves about this guy. So it's easy for me to project that Sadiq, he's a junior too. Like, he could come back, and Oregon, maybe Phil Knight, maybe they offer him first-round money. But if not, I think he'll get first-round money in next year's draft. So.
As a former tight end, explain to our listeners, how difficult is it? Like, some of the assignments that tight ends are given at the NFL level, you got the 6 technique head up on you, and you got to cut him off backside on a zone play. These are like impossible blocks against NFL defensive ends. But when you find a guy that can actually make that block, like a Jackson Haas, what he's doing with the Buffalo Bills right now, how difficult is it to transition from college blocking expectations to what is expected at the NFL level when you're playing in line?
Man, it's like cooking in the kitchen, man. It's like everything's turned up to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, at the college level, Sadiq, there's probably going to be 2 games on his schedule where he lines up against a elite, maybe not even, just an NFL defensive end, let alone an elite NFL defensive end. And then you get, I remember when I'd try to block Von Miller, and like, not only is that guy a freak of nature with his strength and power, but his arms were so long, I would have my arms fully extended out and I'm grabbing air, and he was in full control. So you need to have just like physical ability with arm length. But the other thing is the playbook, because of the roster size in the NFL, you have to do everything as a tight end. Like, you have to be a Y tight end, F tight end, slot receiver, fullback, running back, and pass protection. You have to be the solo receiver backside and no special teams. And some guys are just swamped by the playbook. It's the same thing we're talking about quarterbacks. They're just treading water. They got no chance. But Sadiq does that already. He lines up all over the field, just like Tyler Warren did with Penn State, and you see how smooth that transition's been. Sadiq's already doing that at Oregon, so I think that's going to bode well for his future.
Love it. Had to talk a little tight ends here.
And I've got one more for you. And
all right,
bring home. We got to talk one Michigan Wolverine too. Jay Sean Barham. just another guy that the coaches, he was a 5-star coming out of high school, went to Maryland, off-ball linebacker. They think 4'4" guy, 245 pounds, loves contact. I mean, just a physical freak, strong, fast, agile. But what we're seeing now is a little bit of the Abdul Carter, which is Michigan has just started putting him as the defensive end, an edge, and having him rush the pass rusher. And he's so raw, but it just works for him. He does a great job of getting to a half man. Like he can set it up and then get to that half side. And then he's got such great core strength and power that he bends right around tackles and just, it makes it look like he's a varsity player against junior varsity players. Look at the Oklahoma game. Those are two different defensive halves. When he was in there in the second half, because he had a targeting call from the week prior, suspended the first half of the Oklahoma game. When he came back in the second half of the Oklahoma game, Michigan's defense looked completely different because they can move him all across the defensive line, play him on ball, off ball, and he just solves problems. Abdul Carter did a great job of developing his pass rush moves as the season went on. Jayshon's not there yet, but he's just so gifted that he's been such a weapon as a pass rusher for Michigan. You know, his value could be first-round potential if he's seen as a true edge, but I think he's earning himself some money by just putting himself in that position rather than be an off-ball linebacker at this point.
People don't realize how difficult that is. It is a completely different skill set to play off-ball linebacker and then rush the passer. And the fact that Micah Parsons first made it look so easy at the NFL level, and then it's like, oh, the number 11 at Penn State, he's just going to copy what Micah Parsons did, and somehow did. And you're right. Like, I thought Abdul Carter, the difference between game one to the end of the season last year, I thought was night and day.
Yeah.
Like, you knew he had the potential, but he did put it together. So I think you're going to see more. My theory is you're going to see more people try to make that move. And I think you're going to see more people try to do what Travis Hunter did and play both ways. I don't know if it's going to work as well as Hunter or Parsons or Abdul Carter, but I think you're going to see more trying. And Barham, I think the NFL is going to say, look, we've seen this work, and they're going to be intrigued by the dual skill set there, especially if he develops.
You know, it's like, you know, nowadays when we talk to Wink Martindale, the Michigan's defensive coordinator, he's like, our job is to get the best 11 on the field. And they do that by when guys have that position flexibility and that ability to be dynamic, you know, in all three phases. Why handcuff yourself because of tradition, because it looks unorthodox? You know, more coaches are willing to give their players a chance. And it's fun. It's fun.
Well, Jake, appreciate the time today. Tell everybody where you're going to be. You're going to a game. You're at a game this weekend. Tell everybody where you're going to be.
I got a little home game this weekend. So I made my rounds, the top of the conference. We've called Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, but now we got a little bit more of a more competitive matchup. UCLA, Northwestern. So it'll be a competitive game, but a different type of competitive game here in Chicago. But at least I don't have to travel. I live in Chicago. So
that's good.
I enjoy every week in the booth. So it's been nice hanging out with you though, Will.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Jake Butt from the Big Ten Network. We'll do it again sometime.